Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin. And no, this is not a recap of the yesterday's game between the Panthers and the Falcons. Although the Panthers put on an absolutely pathetic showing on every side of the ball, on every level, defense, front four, linebackers, secondary, terrible. Offensive line, terrible. Mike Remmers, why is he in the Panther uniform? Why is he still playing? They moved him over to left tackle from his right tackle position to replace the bum Michael Orr, who's played like trash this year. Mike Remmers did a horrible job. He did a horrible job. You know, no Jonathan Stewart, so the run game has not been there. Compound that on top of Cam not playing well and getting injured, which I feel as though it was his fault. You dive, you run in the end zone like you're trying to get a touchdown. You don't get hit. You finish out that game more than likely. But here's I guess I'll tie the video. The Panthers have sucked this season, and here's why. We're only a quarter way through the season, and a lot can change. But I can't speak on that because it hasn't happened. Only thing I can talk about is these first 4 games. And don't say I'm doing this too early, or you got those people who say, "Oh, you're a fair weather fan" or whatever. You seen my recaps, you seen my picks. Every single game last year, including the playoffs and the Super Bowl, I've picked them. They lost one of the regular season games to the Falcons, and of course they lost it in the Super Bowl. But every single game I've picked them. I've broken down just about every single game. Also every single game this year, but one. I believe it was the Niners game. I didn't break that one down, but I've said some good things about it. When they play good, I say good things about them. When they play bad, I'm going to call it out. And you got a lot of people who don't say anything. And when someone does call it out, they call them a fake fan or whatever. No, I sat through the days of Jake Delhomme throwing all those picks. Yes, he had some good years. But I sat through the days between Jake Delhomme and getting Cam Newton. A lot of people forget about those. And a lot of people weren't fans then. Yet they talk about me being a fan. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. Let's just talk about all of the issues with this team. And it's a big list. Before I even get into personnel, let's talk about the guys who make the big decisions, or the guys who call the plays. Start with the front office. Jerry Richardson cares more about NASCAR than he cares about football. That spells doom. This is the guy who signs the checks. He's the owner. He cares more about NASCAR than football. Gettleman, we caught lightning in the bottle. Had a great season. Not gonna take that away. Them boys play great. He's unwilling to pay Josh Norman. They had a huge falling out and everything that went wrong. You got to pay cornerbacks. That game showed why you have to pay cornerbacks. He's stubborn. He doesn't want to bring guys in they're really cheap. And you got people that defend that shit. Can't be cheap. You can't get these players who no other team wants. So it's a good reason why they don't want them, because a lot of these guys are either old or terrible. You bring in rookies. You hold most of your secondaries young guys, and that's why they've struggled. But not only that, pass rush. Like I said, unwilling to bring receivers. You need some more speed out there. Unwilling to bring linemen to protect Cam Newton. He's been getting hit a lot. He's been getting sacked a lot. And it's been those tackles. And they haven't done anything to alleviate that problem. You saw it in the Super Bowl. Okay, Mike Remmers, Michael Orr, they're getting destroyed in the Super Bowl. Well, we're going to have to fix that. But let's bring in some new guys. Let's bring in some guys with some talent. No, they stay pat, and I think it's Gettleman's ego. He doesn't want to pay guys more money than he actually has to. He's really cheap, and that's been a problem with this team. They've lost a lot of players because he's been cheap. Let's go down a little bit lower to the coaching. Sean McDermott has. Here's what I understand. Let's talk about the Falcons game specifically. Julio Jones destroyed that secondary. Most of the time when you saw him, it was a one-on-one coverage. No safety behind him, watching him at all times. This guy is a premier receiver in the league. You have rookies back in the secondary, and you play him one-on-one. This is after he's already put up a huge amount of yards on you. You still play him one-on-one. You don't give safety help. Watching him at all times. Those other guys, yeah, you defend those guys one-on-one. But Julio Jones, you don't have the talent at secondary to cover him one-on-one. Few teams do. You have to, if you're going to double cover him or put a safety behind him, because that's what Matt Ryan's going to look for. He's going to look for those passes down the field. So Sean McDermott, you are a bum for not making adjustments defensively. You get out at halftime, you still don't make those adjustments. You dial up some blitzes. These blitzes got to Matt Ryan a few times, pressured him a few times, but it's giving up big plays because when you blitz, you got one-on-one coverage. So, and when they rush 4, they don't get pressure. And it goes back to Gettleman not willing to bring in talent on that front for Connie Ely. No. Charles Johnson's good. His good days are behind him. Mario Addison, he's been a guy who got pressure every now and then, doesn't get a bunch of snaps. He's been in there terrible. The one thing they had on last year was Dwan Edwards, Darlo Salele, and K'Wan Short getting pressure up the middle. Haven't really seen it, and his quarterbacks are getting a lot of time to throw the ball against that weak secondary, and they're going to pick them apart. You're going to see them give up a lot of pass yards unless something changes. Unless guys are able to get more pressure, you're going to see a lot of passing yards put up on that defense. The run defense has struggled, and you would expect. A lot of people expected the secondary to struggle, which they have. A lot of people expected that, but the run defense, they've given up some big yards. They gave up a big game against Denver. I would say there were some plays in this Falcons game where last year, that instead of getting 10, 15 yards, that a running back runs the ball, it would probably be like 2 or 3. Luke Kuechly is still the best player on that defense. Thomas Davis, these guys are making plays. The linebackers are the strong point of that defense. No one can argue that. But it's been, I would say overall, that front 4 has been disappointing, man. And they were honestly, of course, them in totality with the front 7, they were a strength of that defense. Not this year. Offensively, I talked about it. No speed at receiver. It's fucking pissing me off. No speed at receiver. Running backs outside of Jonathan Stewart, Fozzie Whitaker, bum. Cameron Artis-Payne, bum. Mike Tolbert, fat bum. Motherfucker looks like he just went to Dunkin' Donuts before he came to the game. He's a bum. Why is he on the team? The guy needs to get back in shape. I mean, I know he was never a small guy, but just look at him move. He doesn't look like he's in shape. Now he's an older guy still, but why is he getting snaps? Honestly, I need to look at the running back depth chart. Play someone else. These guys have not been effective. Offensive line, I already talked about it. The tackles are the biggest weak point, and in today's game, you gotta have good tackles because those edge rushers are gonna come after you because it's a passing league. Teams want to pass the ball 25, 30 times most of the time, and you need guys who can protect your quarterback's blind sides. They have not had that. Everson Griffin, even Dwight Freeney in the Falcons game, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. They did a better job against the Niners, but the Niners are a struggling team. Defense lost so many players. And, they got some veteran guys up there. But against the upper echelon defenses, which Denver, Minnesota, they looked bad. They looked bad against the Falcons, who I say they got a lot of young guys, but I wouldn't call them no premier defense. And they looked bad. Cam's back there holding the ball, looking for big plays. The offensive play calling. Oh, this is why I get the chance to talk about Mike Shula. A lot of people gave him a lot of credit. I give him a lot of credit for the things that we was doing last year, really mixing it up. Cam was doing a lot of running, and they were calling different plays too, and they didn't have a bunch of talent. Utilizing Ted Ginn, Philly Brown, of course, Greg Olsen, who was the best pass catcher out there. And this is after Kelvin Benjamin went down, so a lot of people expected him when he returned for it to be a lot better. No, these last couple of games, he's been pathetic. Getting penalized a lot, not getting open. The dude is so slow. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's so slow. He can't be a number one receiver. They need some speed. They were unwilling to. They stayed pat what they had. They said, we're getting Kelvin Benjamin back. We don't need to add anyone else. Yes, you do, because even with him there, he's a tall guy. He's a possession guy. He's a guy that's good in the red zone. But you don't really have anyone who with speed. You got Ted Ginn, but Ted Ginn's a one-trick pony. He'll run your end around and get you some yards. He'll catch the occasional sideline pass, and he'll go deep. But he's definitely not a true number 2, hell number 3, but he's a guy that could be out there and really make some plays with his speed. But I'm referring to a guy who's more versatile, better route runner. They really don't have any great route runners. Philly Brown's okay. Greg Olsen's the best route runner in terms of pass catchers, and he's a tight end. So it just shows you the issues at wide receiver. And then Mike Shula. They bring in these max protects, which bring in the running back. They had one play where they brought in the extra lineman, and then they throw the ball. It was like a 3rd and 3. They brought in the extra lineman, knowing that he's not going to go out for a pass. So the Falcons just blitz more guys. Like, you literally showed what you're going to do. Either you're going to run the ball, or if you pass, I'm going to send guys after you, because that extra lineman, and it was an offensive lineman, wasn't like a tight end, which that's what they should have done, just so you can get more more guy options for Cam to throw to. And they got a lot of these 2 receiver routes and then max protections. Teams are going to see that. Teams have seen that. And they're going to send guys after Cam. They'll be like, these guys are not going to go out for catches. They need more screen passes thrown. They're running every now and then. But they just need more variety in terms of the play calling. And big issue with that is the talent. Not a lot of it. Running backs, and I already saw it. If it's not Jonathan Stewart, the rest of these guys have been terrible. Cam, also, if I didn't already mention this, he's always looking for the big play, which requires more time for guys to get down the field, and the offensive line is not good. Mike Remmers was terrible in the Falcons game, getting penalized a lot, giving up pressures, giving up sacks. He's a bum. So you're trying to get these long routes down the field when your offensive line, your tackles specifically, are not protecting your quarterback. Oh yeah, Cam got hurt, by the way, if you don't already know, so you may not play in the next game. But they need to check the ball down a little bit more. They need to get their best guys on the field, especially in 3rd down situations where you need to pick up. You got to get your best guys, your best receivers on the field. You got to get your guys who go out there and make plays. Don't bring in extra offensive linemen for what? Even simple shit. The clock management is something that people overlook. Has been pathetic. Ron Rivera looked like he didn't give a fuck in the last game, or hell, the other games. You look at the Denver game. Clock management was terrible. Look at the Vikings game. Clock management was terrible. They don't look like, even when they're down in these games, they don't look like they have a sense of urgency to get to the line of scrimmage. And I mentioned this in the last recap where they'll wait till the end of the play clock is at 1. There's only 3 things that can happen. Either you hike at 1 second, hike the ball, get a penalty, or call a timeout. Defenses know that. So if they call a timeout, penalty, fine. If they hike the ball, teams know that they have to hike the ball at 1 second, which allows them to time the snap perfectly. It's another reason why they've been getting pressure on the edges. Cam's been getting pressure on the edges so much. And his mechanics was terrible. He looked uncomfortable in the pocket. He's jumping back, making passes. And when they brought Derek Anderson in there, he was willing to check it down. They're better when Cam's in there. But you saw some things that Cam's not doing, checking the ball down, having some shorter routes, getting into a rhythm. You don't have to throw these passes down the field. You don't have to get huge chunks every. And last year, that's what they hung their hat on. That's why they scored so many points, not only with turnovers, getting short fields, defensive scores. They got a lot of big plays. Ted Ginn, whoever it may be. But this year, things are just not going the same. So you have to adjust. Mike Shula, Ron Rivera, these guys are going to have to adjust. And you don't see no adjustments. The same fucking shit that they were running in the first half, they were running in the second half. On defense, on offense, you saw the same thing, the same routes, the same stupid max protects, allowing guys to pat, to essentially, they're not going to send more guys out, so we're going to rush them. That's what teams are seeing. You always got a guy who's spying Cam. And this guy sees, they got more guys in their blocking, so let's send more guys, or I'm going to make this decision to blitz. Just because we know what to expect from this team. They're not going to change it up. And that's an issue, not mixing it up. In last week's game, when they scored those 10 points, they were mixing it up. Screen passes, short throws. They were actually running the ball, albeit Cam, or if it was at the time they had Cameron Artis-Payne, or Fozzie Whitaker, Mike Tolbert, whatever. They were mixing it up when they scored those 10 points. Then they just went to complete stagnant. The max protects, but they have to completely throw that out of the playbook. I can understand, you get your running back on, and you get him the chip to help out those shitty tackles, but to literally put an extra lineman, to put extra, to put running backs back there just to block, you don't have the talent to run 2 receiver routes. Sorry. And I think, I'm trying to think of some other things, but I think I really covered just about everything. I was so fucking pissed off. And as you know, Cam got hurt. And anyone who wanted to see Cam get hurt over some opinion that really doesn't hurt anyone, fuck you. That's all I have for this video. I'm out. Oh, if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe. Thanks for fucking watching.